Hey everyone, welcome back to the channel. Every week, we break down the biggest stories in stocks and crypto, the real news that moves the market. Today's focus, Apple, Microsoft, and Bitcoin. We'll cover the latest headlines, technical levels, and what to watch before making your next move. So grab a coffee, because this is going to be a full, deep dive. Let's start with Apple, ticker AAPL. This week, reports from Bloomberg and Nikkei Asia suggest iPhone sales in China dropped by about 6% year-on-year in the months leading up to the iPhone 17 launch. That kind of decline usually raises concerns. China is Apple's second largest market, and slowing demand there can hit both revenue and sentiment. But here's the other side of the story. Apple has already told its suppliers to increase iPhone 17 production by up to 40% compared to the iPhone 16 cycle. That's a bold move, and it signals that pre-orders are running hotter than expected, especially in the US and Europe. So, we've got a bearish headline and a bullish headline colliding. Classic Apple. From a technical perspective, Apple is holding key support near $205. This level has been tested several times, and so far, buyers have stepped in. If the stock can push above $220, there's room to move toward $230. That's where we saw heavy selling pressure last quarter. But keep in mind, if China sales weakness keeps making headlines, we could see a retest of the $200 level. If that breaks, momentum traders might step back, and we could slide lower. In other words, Apple is sitting right in the middle of a tug of war, and the next move could be big. Microsoft just dropped earnings, and the highlight was Azure Cloud. Revenue from Azure grew about 39% year over year, which smashed Wall Street expectations. The key driver? AI demand. Companies are pouring money into AI models, training, and deployment, and Azure is capturing a huge share of that. But it's not all upside. Operating costs are climbing fast. Building and running AI-ready data centers is massively expensive. That could squeeze margins, especially if enterprise demand cools. Technically, MSFT has solid support around $390. If bulls can push through $420 with strong volume, the next upside target is $450. That's a psychological level, and analysts will be watching it closely. On the downside, if we break under $390, the chart points to the 370s as the next zone. So, the question for investors is, do you believe in the long-term AI cloud story, or are you worried about near-term costs eating into profits? The crypto market just lost more than $160 billion in combined value in a single week. That's a massive wipeout, and it sent shockwaves through the altcoin space as well. But here's the flip side. Speculation around Bitcoin ETF approvals keeps building. If the SEC greenlights one or more ETFs, that could unlock. On the chart, Bitcoin has strong support around $62,000. This level has acted like a floor, and every dip has brought in new buyers. Resistance sits at $70,000. If BTC can push through that zone, especially with ETF headlines or strong volume, the next logical target is $75,000 to $76,000. But if Bitcoin fails to break resistance, a slide back into the low $60,000 is very possible. That's why position sizing and risk management are crucial here. Zooming out to the macro picture, U.S. markets are hovering near all-time highs, but investors are watching the Federal Reserve. If inflation forces the Fed to keep rates higher for longer, both tech stocks and crypto could struggle. On the other hand, if we get any hint of rate cuts, risk assets like Apple, Microsoft, and Bitcoin could see a strong tailwind. So yes, the Fed remains the wild card. To sum it up, Apple is a mixed bag. Weak sales in China, but strong iPhone 17 demand elsewhere. Microsoft is delivering on AI cloud growth, but investors should track margin pressures. Bitcoin remains the big swing trade, with ETF optimism battling against short-term volatility. So the real question is, which story do you believe in right now? Apple, Microsoft, Bitcoin, or maybe none until prices pull back? I'd love to hear your thoughts in the comments. If you found this analysis helpful, don't forget to smash that like button, subscribe if you haven't already, and hit the bell icon so you never miss our weekly breakdowns. Thanks for watching, and I'll catch you in the next video.